Welcome to the course Compiler Design. In this lecture, we'll discuss about register allocation and assignment, followed by dynamic programming code generation. These are all the last two topics related to code generation phase. So register allocation and assignment during introduction of code generation, we already mentioned. So these are all two important factors, register allocation and assignment. The instructions involving only register operands, which are shorter and faster than those involving memory operands. Even in code generation also, target code, at the time of using registers and comparing cost with the memory location. So registers having least cost. Automatically it shares the cost of the code sequence. Therefore, efficient utilization of registers is important in generating good code. That means even while using registers also, optimally we have to use and we have to utilize effectively. So how that can be done, that we will discuss in register allocation and assignment. Register allocation, what values in a program should reside in registers. So that is the purpose of register allocation. Whereas a register assignment, which register each value should reside. If any value once that is stored in register, further same value occurred, we no need to use another register. Same register we have to recall. So for this, one approach to register allocation and assignment is to assign specific values in an object program to certain registers. This is one approach. For example, a decision can be made to assign base address to one group of registers, arithmetic computations to another, then the top of the runtime stack to a fixed register, and so on, like that. So this is one approach to register allocation and assignment, to assign specific values in an object program, that program to certain registers. Then advantages of this approach is it simplifies the design of a compiler. There is advantage, but there is disadvantage also. Applied too strictly, it uses registers inefficiently. Certain registers may go unused over substantial portions of the code, while unnecessary loads and stores are generated, like redundant instructions. This is the one drawback of this approach. So then we'll use one approach. If we can use registers globally, that is called as global register allocation. The code generation algorithm used registers to hold values for the duration of a single basic block. However, all live variables were stored at the end of each block. To save some of these stores and corresponding loads, we might arrange to assign registers to frequently used variables and keeps these registers consistent across block boundaries globally. That means you can identify the variables where those are all frequently used. Those can be stored in consistent registers globally. So then this will overcome the difficulty. Since programs spend most of their time in inner loops, a natural approach to global register assignment is try to keep a frequently used value in a fixed register throughout the loop. So most of the programs, whatever we consider, most time spent for defining inner loops. So to overcome this, we will keep frequently used values in a fixed register throughout the loop. Then one strategy for global register allocation is to assign some fixed number of registers to hold the most active values in each inner loop. The selected values may be different in different loops. Registers not already allocated may be used to hold values local to one particular block. This approach has the drawback that the fixed number of registers is not always the right number to make available for global register allocation. For this also one drawback is there. To overcome this drawback globally, we'll use another approach by calculating usage counts. So a simple method for determining the savings to be realized by keeping variable X in a register for the duration of loop L is to recognize that in our mission mode, we save 1 unit cost for each reference to X if X is in a register. That means a register R0 contains X. So then automatically 1 unit cost is saved whenever X is stored in register. So like that, we will find for each variable the usage count. So in the inner loop of the given flow graph. Now, how to calculate the usage count? For that, we are having one formula, an approximate formula for the benefit to be realized. So benefit also called as usage to be realized from allocating a register to a variable X within loop L is defined as, the formula is sigma summation blocks B in the loop. So of use of X comma B, X is the variable. Now B is the current basic block plus 2 into live of X comma B. So why? Because here by default, whenever a register is used to X, it saves cost 1. So then minimum we will save the cost 2. So 2 into live of X comma B. So live means every variable for a particular block that can be live either at the entry or at the exit. So here we will consider exit cases. Then use means number of times the variable X is used in the block. Use means in the right hand side. So starting of this code generation, we already mentioned two terms, define, use. This will use here. For example, X equal to Y OP Z. So now here X is nothing but define, whereas Y and Z nothing but use or reference. So now onwards we will use the term use. Use means so the values used in the right hand side of the definition. So where X is defined. Then live means that can be exit at the particular block, exit of that block, then that is said to be live. Okay, now where use of X comma B is calculated as, use of X comma B is the number of times X is used in B prior to any definition of X. That means, so how many times X used in the right hand side and X is not computed. That means left hand side X is not used in the particular block. Then we will find the use. Similarly, live of X comma B, here having two values, 0 or 1. So when it is 1, if X is live on exit of that block B and X is assigned with a value in that basic block, so then we can say live of X comma B is 1. Otherwise, live of X comma B is 0. Okay, now let us see one example, then you will get full clarity. So consider the basic block in the inner loop depicted in the following figure, where jump and conditional jump statements have been omitted. Assume registers R0, R1, R2 are allocated to hold values throughout the loop. Variables live on entry into and exit from each block are shown below. Here you can see for each and every basic block, this is one flow graph with inner loop. Here you can see the inner loop is there. So flow graph 1, inner loop. So now here we are having block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4. Four basic blocks are there, B1, B2, B3 and B4. Now the first one is designated as the initial block. Why? Because you have to draw an arrow. So then all the adjacent blocks are connected. Now we are having loop from B4. So B4 to B1, that is inner loop. So you can come from B1, B3, B4, again it is going back to B1. So then if you can come via B1 to B2, B2 to B4, again the loop. So that's why this is called as inner loop. So now every block here, two sets of live variables are given. First here you see block 1, BCDF. These are all given by the programmer itself. We can't identify. Initially these are all given. So BCDF are the live variables at entry of B1, whereas ACDF are the live variables at exit of B1. Then similarly B2 block. So the entry live variables are ACDE, the exit live variables of B2 are ACDF. Then similarly for B3, the entry live variables of B3 are ACDF. Then the exit live variables of B3 are BCDF. So again, here you can see for B4 block, the entry live variables at B4 CDEF, then the exit live variables at B4 BCDEF. So now from bottom to top, we can proceed. So for example, for this block B1, we can take the successor union here ACDE, ACDF. If you can combine ACDF, then similarly for this one, it depends on its successor one, that is B4. So here CDF same we are getting. Then here also this B3 depends on B4, BCDF. So then finally for B4 the live variables are given, for B3 live variables are given. This is one flow graph with inner loop. Now what you have to do, here you have to find out usage cost for each and every variable that are used in this flow graph throughout the loop. So throughout the loop, any path you can take, loops are occurred. So now here the usage means right hand side you can see B, C, D, A, F. So A, B, C, D. So now here you can see A, B, C, D, E, F. All you can calculate the usage count. So based on the usage count, so whichever the variable having more usage, then that will concentrate more. That can be stored in some specific register. So what are the registers we assume? Okay, now let us see first how we will compute these values here. Lively we will see the usage count. Here I have written. First I have taken the formula for the benefit of X allocated to a register. So sigma blocks B in L, use of X comma B into 2 plus 2 into live of X comma B. This is the formula we will use for finding the usage. Now here L is loop of the flow graph, where use of X comma B, just now we already mentioned, number of times X is used in block B, that means where in the right hand side of the definition, and X is not defined in block B. That means on the left hand side X is not defined, that is computation of X, that can be on the left hand side. Here clearly written the use of XB means number of times X is used in block B in the right hand side of the definition of block B, and X is not defined in that block. That means X is not assigned with any value in the left hand side starting with the X. Both conditions needs to be satisfied. So then you can find the use value. Similarly, live value. So live of X comma B is 1 when the live of X comma B is 1 if X is live on exit from that particular block B and is assigned a value in block B, assigned a value in block B, that is X is defined. That means so left hand side X is computed something, X equal to something, and that X can be exited from that block. Then only you can take live of X on that block B as 1. Otherwise, live of X comma B is 0. Here both conditions need to be satisfied. X is exit from block B at the end, and X is assigned with a value in block B. Then live of X comma B is 1. Otherwise, live of X comma is 0. Whereas use of X comma B, number of times X is used in the right hand side of the statements included in the particular block, and X is not computed in that block. At that time, that count value will be treated as use of X comma B. Now the previous flow graph with inner loop, so what we seen previously, same is shown here. Now the flow graph with inner loop, block wise live variables at entry and exit of each block are shown here. Now all the identifiers are variables. In place of X, you can take A, B, C, D, E, F. For all this, you can calculate the usage count using the formula. Now here you can see I have taken empty table. Now we will calculate here using this formula. For every variable that you can find use and live for all the blocks. Total B1 to B4, 4 blocks are there. Now the table here I have taken the variables in first column. Then I have taken all the blocks included in the loop of that flow graph. So B1, B2, B3, B4 all are included in the inner loop of the flow graph. then total usage cost will calculate using the formula. Now first for A, here x equal to A, then for B1 you can find out use of A comma B, then live of A comma B, A comma B1. Then for B2 also you can find out use and live. For B3 also use and live. For B4 also use and live for the variable A. Like all variables we have to calculate. Now coming to B1. Now for B1 block you can find use and live for the variable X. Now here you can see. So now X means A. So in the B1 block, here let us see for B1 use of A equal to. So where how many times A is used in the right hand side? The right hand side here you can see A is used one time. But the second condition A is not computed, but here A is computed. Therefore use of A comma B1 equal to 0. So carefully here you can observe A is used one time in the right hand side, but A is not assigned. Here A is assigned before A. So A equal to B plus C. That's why use of A comma B1 equal to 0. Then live of A comma B1, let us see here. So live means A should exit from B1. Now here you can see A in the exit, A is there. A is exit. Another condition, A should be computed or assigned some value in the assignment. Now here A is assigned. So A is exit, then A is assigned. Both conditions are satisfied. So therefore its live value is 1. Now in the formula, therefore, what you have to do for B1, use is 0 plus 2 into live 1. So here 0 plus 2, you will get 3. So like that you have to calculate. Similarly for B2 block, A is used, but A is not assigned. Therefore use of A comma B2 equal to 1. Then live of A comma B2, here you can see A is not exit. A is not live at the exit. CDF A is not there. So here you will get 0. Then in that formula, 1 plus 2 into 0, you will get 1. Similarly, coming to B3, here B3 A is used, but A is not assigned. So here you will get use of A comma B3 equal to 1. Then live, you can see here A is not live at the exit of B3. So then live of A comma B3 equal to 0. Similarly, come to B4 block. Here A is not used. Therefore, use of A comma B4 equal to 0. Then A is also not lived. Then live of A comma B4 is also 0. Now all these values you can substitute now. So in the formula, use of A comma B plus 2 into live of A comma B by using sigma B1, B2, B3, B4 belongs to L. All we can consider. Now in B1 block, what is the use value? For B1 block use value, the total we calculated. So here 3 plus B2 block, here what you will get? 1 into 2 into 0. Here also final value calculated 1 plus for B3 block, here you can see use is 1, live is 0. 1 plus 2 into 0, you will get 1 plus B4 block, both are 0. So you will get 0. Now you can see 3 plus 1 plus 1, total 5 you will get. Like that we have to calculate use values using this formula. Now let us see here. In this table, carefully you can observe all. Now for identifier A, B1 block, the use is, now you can recall once for B1, earlier the B1 is 2, not 1. So now for B1, use is 0. Use is 0 plus live value is 1 means 2 into 1. 2 plus for B2 block, use is 1. Then live is 0 plus B3 block, use is 1. Live is 0 plus B4 block, both use and live are 0. Now the total usage cost 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1 equal to 4. That means 4 units. Here you can see the total usage cost 4 units. So that means if you can use register for the variable A, its usage is 4 units. Like all variables you can find out whichever variable having more usage, preferably first you can store those variables in registers globally. Then similarly for identifier B, for B1 here directly I'm writing the values, later you can check. So anyway for B we will check once. Now here you can see in block 1 B. So B is used 2 times. Here B plus C, D minus B. But B is not assigned with any value. Therefore its use is 2. Then live is, here you can see B is not exit. So live is 0. Therefore 2 plus 0 you will get for B. Now here you will get 2 plus 0. Plus in block 2, directly I'm writing here. Now you can see if you want block 2 also. Block 2 usage of B not there, 0. Even B is also not live. Both use and live for identifier B in block 2 are 0. So now here what you will get? 0 plus 0 plus, then block 3 the use is 0, then live you will get 1. So 1 into 2, so 2 you will get here. Then for block 4 you will get 0 plus 2. Now total usage is 6 units. Similarly for C, the use is 1, the live is 0 plus for block 2 both use and live are 0 plus for block 3 use is 1, live is 0 plus block 4 use is 1, live is 0, and total 1 plus 1 plus 1, total cost is 3. Then similarly D, for D let us check once. For D in block 1, so D is used 1 time, but D is assigned some value, so use is 0. Then live, D is live, exit of B1, and D is also assigned. So live we have to consider, that is 1 into 2, 0 plus 2 into 1, you will get 2 here. For D, use is 0, live is 2. Similarly plus B2 1 plus 0, that is use is 0 1, live is 0 plus for B3 live use is 1, live is 0 plus for B4 use is 1, live is 0. Total 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4 plus 1 5. The usage cost is 5. Similarly for E, what you will get here? For E usage is 0, live is 2 plus for block 2 both are 0 plus for block 3 use is 0, live is 2 plus for block 4 both are 0. Now it's cost 2 plus 2 equal to 4. Then similarly for F, its use is 1 plus live is 0 plus block 2 use is 0, live is 2 plus block 3 use is 1 plus live is 0 plus block 4 both are 0. Now 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1, 4. Here you will get 4. Now we can see these are all usage cost for all the variables that are occurred in the loop of flow graph what we have taken. Now here you can see which are having highest cost. By default, first you can store A, later let us see. Now the registers. So assume registers are used R0 and R1. So first you can store the most usage cost values in these registers. Now here you can see we are having 6, that is variable B having highest usage, then D also. So now you can store B and D. So B and D, here one more register also there. three registers are given, assumed R0, R1, R2. Now these registers first 5 value, that is 6 value is the highest usage. So you can store B in R1 register, that is B. Next one D having next highest usage, so 5, that is D. So then remaining A having 4 and E and F also having 4. Now you can see here you can store A initially, then later E or F also. Why? Because same usage, you can use R0 only. Then others here having cost 4, 6, 5 with optimal utilization R0, R1, R2. Highest usage counts will be first allocated in the registers. Later, whichever the leftover, that is C is leftover, that can be stored later in other registers like R4, I mean R3, like that. But our priority is first most frequent identifiers based on the usage count. Those can be stored in the assumed registers, whatever the registers we assumed with R0, R1, R2. So later those can be stored in R3. So like that. So that is the way of finding usage count for the flow graph of inner loop. So what I explained, same is shown here. Now finally, the following figure shows the assembly code generated from the above figure 1. Now for this flow graph, whatever the 3 address statements, now the assembly code is generated here, and that can be shown in the following flow graph. So with the optimized registers utilization, first here move B comma R1, then move D comma R2. Then for initially next B1 block, so here see the optimal registers we are using. Move R1 comma R0, then add C comma R0, subtraction R1 comma R2, then move R0 comma R3, then add F comma R3, then move R3 comma E. All the 3 address statements. Similarly for B2 block also, then B3 block also, then B4 block. So this is the exit of B3. Then this is exit of B4. So after finding the usage counts, now code sequence using global register assignment for the above flow graph. Same flow graph, but every 3 address statement is converted into the target code sequence, which is in assembly language program. Okay, now that is for inner loop. Then for outer loops, how the register assignment will be done for outer loops. For outer loops, we are having similar concept, having assigned registers and generated code for inner loops. We may apply the same idea to progressively for larger loops. If an outer loop L1 contains an inner loop L2, the names allocated registers in L2 need not be allocated registers in L1 minus L2. However, if name X is allocated to a register in loop L1, but not L1, we must load X on entrance to L2 and store X on exit from L2 with combination of inner and outer loop. Now here we will use one approach for register allocation using graph coloring in data structures and our design analysis of algorithms. You may studied one of the technique graph coloring. So same concept we will use for register allocation. So when a register is needed for a computation, but all available registers are in use, then the contents of one of the user registers must be stored, that is filled into a memory location in order to free up a register, that is deallocation. Graph coloring is simple, systematic technique for allocating registers and managing register spills. In this method, 2 passes are used. In the first pass, the target mission instructions are selected as though there were an infinite number of symbolic registers. In effect, names used in the intermediate code become names of registers and the 3 address statements become machine language statements. If access to variables requires instructions that use stack pointers, display pointers, base registers, or other quantities that assist access, then we assume that these quantities are held in registers reserved for each purpose. Now, once the instructions have been selected, Then the second pass. First pass, instruction selection. Then second pass, assigned physical registers to symbolic ones. The goal is to find an assignment that minimizes cost of the spills. In the second pass, for each procedure, a register inference graph, that is graph coloring, is constructed in which the nodes are symbolic registers and one edge connects two nodes. If one is live at a point where the other is defined. For example, the register inference graph for the above example, what we consider would have nodes for names A and D. In block B1, A is live at the second statement, which defines D. Therefore, in the graph, there would be an edge between the nodes for A and D. Now, what is the graph coloring problem? Let us see. An attempt is made to color the register inference graph using K colors, where K is the number of assignable registers. A graph is said to be colored if each node has been assigned a color in such a way that no two adjacent nodes having the same color. This is the graph coloring problem. Now, every color in a node that we will treat it as a register. A particular color is assigned to a register. No two adjacent nodes having the same register. The same is replicated here. A color represents a register and the coloring makes sure that no two symbolic registers that can inference with each other are assigned the same physical register. That is the concept of graph coloring for global register allocation. Okay, now our next concept related to code generation is the last concept, dynamic programming code generation. So we know dynamic programming in design and analysis of algorithms. One large problem is divided into subproblems. Then each subproblems can be solved individually by using a procedure recursively. Then every individual problem solutions can be combined. Then you will get the overall problem solution. Now this approach is used for code generation also. So an algorithm based on the principle of dynamic programming can be used to extend the class of machines for which optimal code can be generated from expression tree in linear time. Here we will construct a tree which is called as expression tree. So the dynamic programming algorithm applies to a broad class of register missions with a complex instruction set. Then a class of register mission. The dynamic programming algorithm can be used to generate code for any mission with R interchangeable registers, let us say R0, R1, and so on, or R-1. And instructions of the form Ri equal to E, where R is the register, E is the expression, where E is any expression containing operators, registers, and memory locations. If E involves one or more registers, then Ri must be one of these registers. For example, the instruction add R0, R1 would be represented as R1 equal to R1 plus R0, that is addition operation. Then the instruction add pointer R0, R1 would be represented as R1 equal to R1 plus IND R0, where IND is the stands for the indirect operator. So like that we can represent. Now we assume a mission has a load instruction that can be written as Ri equal to M. A store instruction that can be defined as M equal to Ri, and a register to register copy instruction Ri equal to Rj. So these samples we will use. Then our 3 address code will relate any of these sequences. For simplicity, we also assume every instruction costs 1 unit. Although the dynamic programming algorithm can easily be modified to work even if each instruction has its own cost. Okay, now what is the principle of dynamic programming? The dynamic programming algorithm partitions the problem of generating optimal code for an expression into subproblems of generating optimal code for the sub-expressions of the given expression. Like large problem is divided into subproblems. Then first we have to find out each subproblem value, then that can be combined. Then we'll get final value in the similar fashion. So consider an expression E of the form E1 plus E2, An optimal program for E is formed by combining optimal programs for E1 and E2. For E1, you can find out optimal program. For E2 also, you can find optimal program. Then these two can be combined. Then we will get the optimal program or a value for the entire expression. That is the concept of dynamic programming. So for E1 and E2, in one or the other order, followed by code to evaluate the operator plus. The subprograms of generating optimal code for E1 and E2 are solved similarly. So an optimal program produced by the dynamic programming algorithm has an important property. It evaluates an expression E equal to E1 OP E2 continuously. We can appreciate what this means by looking at the syntax tree T for E. Now generally E equal to E1 OP E2, what we have to do? Syntax tree OP is the interior node, left child is E1, right child is E2. For E1 tree, we will call it as T1. For E2 tree, we will call it as T2. The same is represented here. So OP labeled with the root, then the left child is E1, that tree named it as T1. For a right side E2 subtree, that is named it as T2. Here T1 and T2 are the trees for E1 and E2 respectively. First, you can find out the optimal program or value for T1 subtree, then for T2 subtree, then you can combine. You can follow any order, T1 first, then T2, or T2 first, then T1, based on the given conditions. So like that, we have to generate the optimal codes for each subtrees separately. Now, contiguous evaluation. We say a program P evaluates a tree T contiguously if it first evaluates these subtrees of T that need to be computed into memory. Then it evaluates the remainder of T either in order T1, T2, and then the root, or in the order T2, T1, and then the root, just now I mentioned. In either case, using the previously computed values from memory whenever necessary. As an example of non-contiguous evaluation, P might first evaluate part of T1, leaving the value in a register instead of memory. Next, evaluate T2 and then return to evaluate the rest of T1. For the register machine defined above, we can prove that given any machine language program P to evaluate an expression tree T, we can find an equivalent program P dash such that, so whatever the equivalent program P dash, that P dash is of no higher cost than the P original program. Then P dash uses no more registers than P, uses less number of registers than P. Then P dash evaluates the tree in contiguous fashion, continuous. So this result implies that every expression tree can be evaluated optimally by a contiguous program. Now, let us see the dynamic programming algorithm, which has 3 phases. The dynamic programming algorithm proceeds in 3 phases. Suppose the target mission has R registers. First phase, compute bottom up for each node n, bottom up leaves to root. So each node n for the expression tree T, an array C of costs in which the ith component C of I is the optimal cost of computing the subtree S rooted at node n into a register. Assuming I registers are available for the computation, where I value in between 1 to R registers. Then the cost includes whatever loads and stores are necessary to evaluate S in the given number of registers. It also includes the cost of computing the operator at the root of S. Then the 0th component of the cost vector denoted with indexed with 0, C of 0. Then with 1 register, C of 1. With 2 registers, C of 2 for a particular node in the syntax tree. The 0th component of the cost vector is the optimal cost computing the subtree S into memory, where 0 is memory cost, 1 is 1 register usage cost, 2 is 2 register usage cost. The contiguous evaluation property ensures that an optimal program for S can be generated by considering combinations of optimal programs only for the subtrees of the root of S. This restriction reduces the number of cases that need to be considered. To compute C of I, cost of a particular memory or with register or with two registers. To compute C of I at node n, consider each mission instruction R equal to E expression, whose expression matches the sub-expression rooted at node n. By examining the cost vectors and the corresponding descendants of n, that is in the expression whatever, determine the cost of evaluating the operands of E. For these operands of E that are registers, consider all possible orders in which the corresponding subtree of T can be evaluated into registers. In each ordering, the first subtree corresponding to a register operand can be evaluated using I available registers. The second one using I minus 1 registers, and so on. To account for node n, add in the cost of the instruction R equal to E that was used to match node n. The value of C of I is the minimum cost overall with possible orders. The cost vector. Now we need to calculate the cost vector for each and every node in the syntax tree. The cost vectors for the entire tree T can be computed bottom up in time, linearly proportional to the number of nodes in T. From first leaves to root, you have to find out. Then finally, the root node cost vector is obtained by using its leaves. So it is convenient to store at each node the instruction used to achieve the best cost for C of I for each value of I. The smallest cost in the vector for the root of T gives the minimum cost of evaluating the tree T. That is the first phase. First phase, what you have to do, we can find the cost vector for each and every node in the bottom up manner. Second phase, we have to traverse T using the cost vectors to determine which subtree of T must be computed into memory based on the cost vector. Then the third phase, traverse each tree using the cost vectors and associated instructions to generate the final target code. In the third phase, based on the traversing by using cost vector, here associated instructions are used. With that, the final target code is generated. The code for the subtrees computed into memory locations is generated first. Then these two phases can also be implemented to run in time, linearly proportional to the size of the expression. Now let us see one example. So consider a mission having two registers R0 and R1 and the following instructions each of unit cost. So first, a register to memory, register equal to memory, then register equal to register operator register, then register equal to register operator memory, then register one register equal to another register, assigning Ri equal to Rj, then memory equal to Ri, memory equal to register. So these will use these notations. In these instructions, Ri is either R0 or R1 and Mj is a memory location. So let us apply the dynamic programming algorithm to generate optimal code for the syntax tree as shown in below figure. Now here you can see this is separately shown here. The syntax tree for the expression A minus B plus C into D by E with cost vector at each node is shown below. We know how to construct the syntax tree for this expression A minus B plus C into D by E. First, plus is the interior node, plus left part A minus B, again minus is interior node, then left child is A, right child is B. Then similarly, right side of plus we are having into, for into left side the operand C, right side again divide operator is there, divide, left operand is D, then right operand is E. This is normal syntax tree. So now here what you have to do, we have to find the cost vector for each and every node, including interior node and leaf nodes. So the cost vector is of the form. Cost vector is denoted with C of I, where I equal to 0, that is for memory, then I equal to 1, if you can use one register, I equal to 2, that is for two registers. The order you have to write like this: C of 0, comma C of 1, comma C of 2. So this is the cost vector representation as a triple. In the triple, first one C of 0. What is C of 0? That is for memory, I equal to 0. For C of 1, I equal to 1 with 1 register usage. Then C of 2, I equal to 2 with 2 registers usage. Here you can see. Suppose here for the node plus the cost vector 8, 8, 7. So here 8 is, that is for memory, C of 0. Then second position is C of 1 with 1 register usage, the cost. Then 7 with the 2 registers usage. So like that, first we have to find out the bottom node's cost vector. Then bottom to root we have to proceed. Now let us see here. First, the leaf nodes directly you can calculate. A is already in the memory. Therefore, the first value is 0. Then by using one register, let us say R1 equal to A, then its cost is 1. Even for 2 registers also, it takes only 1 cost. Out of 2, 1 we have to pick. So cost is 1. Then another leaf node B, again same B is already in memory. Therefore, it won't take any cost, 0. Then with 1 register, 1. With 2 registers, 1 is used. So cost is 1. All leaf nodes, same cost vector you will get. Now here you can see for a node C, R naught equal to C, R naught is used. So C is already in memory, 0. Then 1 register cost is 1. Out of 2, 1 is considered, cost is 1. Then for D also 0, 1, 1. For E also 0, 1, 1. By default, all leaf nodes, you can take a cost like this, 0, 1, 1. Then the interior nodes, how to find? So here the nodes are numbered. So plus is numbered with 1, minus is numbered with 2, into is numbered with 3, then A is numbered with 4, B is numbered with 5, then C is numbered with 6, then divide is numbered with 7, D is numbered with 8, E is numbered with 9. Now all these 9 nodes, all leaf nodes we obtained the cost vector. Now in the bottom up order, now you need to find out interior nodes cost vector till the root node. Now let us see for one node how to calculate. For node 2, here I have shown one sample. Here number of registers considered 2, that is R0, R1. For node 2, the matching instructions. What node 2 contains? Minus. So the minus left hand side A, right hand side B. Left hand side one register is used. Therefore here R1 equal to memory format, then R1 equal to R1 minus memory. So in the above we have considered the general forms. These are the related matching instructions. So Ri equal to Ri minus memory. Here I equal to 0, 1. Why? Because 2 registers are used. Then Ri equal to Ri minus Rj. 2 registers if we can use. Where I, j, 0, 1. Cost of computing a tree into memory, that is for a 0, that is C of 0. The formula is cost of computing the tree using all registers plus 1. Finally, you can add this cost to 1 for memory. Then cost of node 2, let us see here. Cost of node 2 with 1 register denoted with C2 of 1. So what are the children of the node 2? Let us see here. For node 2, B is one, A is one children, B is one children. That is 4 and 5. For 4, here it uses 1 register. Then B also different memory register, 1 register, 2 register combinations are there. Now here you can see how to find this value. So C2 of with 1 register combination, the left child C4, then right child C5. So you may consider first, why? Because left side we used R1 equal to A. So 1 register used, C4 of 1 plus C5 of, that is memory. Right side what you are having, B value, that is stored in memory. For this, overall cost 1 needs to be added. Now C4 of 1, what is this value? Here you can see, this is the C4. C4 of 1 register, the value is 1. Then 2 registers, the value is 1. For memory, the value is 0. Then C5 memory 0, for 1 register 1, 2 registers 1. So now here what we have taken, C4 of 1. C4 of 1 means with 1 register combination value 1. Then C5 of 0 with memory value is 0. 1 plus 0, that is added to 1. Now here you can see 1 plus 0 plus 1. Now we'll get 2. So that is what is this one in the vector C2 of 0, C2 of 1, C2 of 2. This is with 1 register, This is with the 2 registers. This is memory. Now we are finding cost for one register. Here what will get? Value 2. Now this value 2 we obtained. Then similarly with two register combinations, let us say here various possibilities we have to consider. Node 2 with 2 registers cost, that is C2 of 2, can be obtained by taking all possibilities of its children by using minimum of. So minimum of what you are having for C2 of 2, we are having 4 and 5, that is C4, then C5. C4 we have to take the combinations. So 2 1 combination, that is 2 registers 1 register. C5 memory with 1 register, then 2 registers. Like all combinations you can take, then whichever minimal value that you can take. Now here you can see minimum of C4 of 2 1 plus 1 is commonly added for all cases. Here 2 registers 1 register, then C4 plus C5 of 0, 2 registers, then memory plus 1, then 1 register 2 registers plus 1, 1 register 1 register plus 1, 1 register memory plus 1. Now substitute all these values from the above cost vector. So you are having C4 cost vector 0, 1, 1. Then C5 also 0, 1, 1. Now you can see. So C4 of 2 register means third one, that is 1. Then C5 of 1 register 1 plus 1 is common. Then second one you can see C4 of 2 1 plus C5 of 0 memory value 0 plus 1, like that you can find out what you will get. 3 2 3 2 2, the minimum value among all these 2. Therefore C2 of 2 equal to 2 value. Now the last one with memory, cost of node 2 into memory, that is C2 of 0. C2 of 0. Now you can see for node 2 the memory cost is denoted with C2 of 0. So you can add 1 plus the overall registers cost of that particular node. So for that you can take all combinations are including C2 of 2 with 2 registers. Why? Because maximum registers are not R1, that is 2. That's for you can consider C2 of 2 value. For that the cost 1 is added. So 1 plus 2 equal to 3. Therefore cost vector for node 2 is now the order first memory cost value C2 of 0, comma with 1 register cost C2 of 1, comma with 2 register cost C2 of 2. In the above we calculated C2 of 0, this one 3, then C2 of 1 with 1 register initially we obtained C2 of 1 cost is 2, then C2 of 2 cost is 2. So both are 2. Now here you can see. So 3, 2, 2 triple, that is for node 2. Similarly, like all other nodes, you can calculate the cost in the similar fashion. Now you can see for node 7 you have to calculate node 7 here C7 of memory, comma C7 of 1 register, comma C7 of 2 registers, this cost by using 8 and 7 nodes. Similarly for node 3 you can use this node 7 and node 6 in the same fashion you can apply, that is C3 of 0, C3 of 1, C3 of 2. Then node 2 we already demonstrated. Then finally root, the root is obtained in the similar fashion using node 2 and using node 3. Same formula recursively can apply. So then this is the root cost vector with memory 8, with 1 register 8, with 2 registers 7, that we will get here. Finally in the tree every node here we used the instruction sequence. First let us see here R0 register at node 6. So C is stored in R0, then D is stored in R1. Next you can see here R1 is computed with R1 by E divide operator. Then here R0 is computed by multiplying the both R0 and R1, R0 into R1. Then similarly here R1 A is stored in R1, then B is in memory location. Then it matching instruction is R1 equal to R1 minus B. Then its instruction for into R0 equal to R0 into R1. Now the plus is computed by adding R1 register, R0 register. That is stored in R0. R0 equal to R1 plus R0. So this is the target code instruction sequence. With this, now you can generate our target code. Now let us see here. The target code instruction sequences are written here. Generated sequences of instructions. First R0 equal to C, then R1 equal to D in the right subtree. These are all right subtree. Then R1 equal to R1 by E. This is also right subtree. Then R0 equal to R0 into R1. That is the another part. Then R1 equal to A. This is left subtree. R1 equal to R1 minus 1, left subtree. Then R0 equal to R1 plus R0. This is the root. So in bottom up order leaves to root. Now these are all the target instructions for generating a target code. Here you can see the finally. So whatever I demonstrated, same thing given here. Yeah, this is the tree with the cost vector. Now finally, let us see the sequence what I shown here. From the cost vectors, we can easily construct the code sequences by making a traversal of the tree, that is phase tree of dynamic programming algorithm. From the tree above syntax tree, assuming 2 registers are available, then optimal code sequence is just now whatever I explained. R0 equal to C, R1 equal to D, R1 equal to R1 by E, R0 equal to R0 into R1, R1 equal to A, R1 equal to R1 minus B, R1 equal to R1 plus R0. Only 2 registers are used. Now for this, generate target code. Target code, that is assembly language program. So that is the dynamic programming code generation. Okay, now till this, the dynamic programming code generation and register allocation assignment, both topics are completed. Till this, our code generation phase is completed. So our next class will come up with our next code optimization technique, that is machine independent code optimization, that we will discuss in 5th unit. Now I stop here.